that you would
2,000 years later.
you want you could do so you want him to do you so much you could do anything.
We're going to have a wild one today. Remember, the Seinfeld rule. The Seinfeld rule. Are you a fan of Seinfeld? I am a fan of Seinfeld. I think it's maybe the last funny show ever to be broadcast. I'm blessed that I was able to live in a time when you could still have fun and laugh at jokes. And there was an incredible moment where George Costanza, I think I'm going to call it the Costanza rule, okay? The Costanza rule, the iron law of George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Okay, so that has been the prevailing rule in all of politics. Now I'm going to wrap this all up in a nice little bow here, but I'm going to show you how this works, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of the 90s, which is when Seinfeld was broadcast, you would understand that the Costanza rule applied to the president of the 90s. Watch how perfectly this works.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Ooh, it's not a lie if you believe it. Bill Clinton. Does it apply only to Democrats? No, certainly not. Even Republicans get this treatment as well. Uniparty Republicans, globalist Republicans, warmongering Republicans, neocon Republicans. Watch this.
I take the threat very seriously. I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
What about individuals who stand to benefit from creating extreme fear and fear-mongering, potentially about our climate? Let's go check in with somebody who ran against George W. Bush in the 2004 election, a man named John Kerry. In the year 2009, John Kerry gave a speech saying there'd be no more ice in Antarctica in 5 years. It's not a lie if you believe it.
We have sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
It's so good. It's so good. And it works so perfectly here. We're going to bundle this all up into what we learned about Joe Biden yesterday. The final one. You got to see how great this works. Oh, murder-suicide specialist herself, Hill Dog. Hill Dog, tell us about your home server. Oh, we're going to raid Mar-a-Lago because Donald Trump kept a love letter from Kim Jong-un there. We're going to go and put Donald Trump in jail. Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails under subpoena, smashed with a hammer, took her phones, smashed them with hammers. We know this. This is confirmed. Hillary Clinton asked about it and...
You know, I used a single account for convenience. Obviously, these years later, it doesn't look so convenient. But the facts are the same as they have been from the very beginning of these questions being raised. And most importantly, I never sent classified material on my email, and I...
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Let's start with a clip from September of 2020, a month, about 90 days before the general election. 90 days before the general election, Joe Biden faced the most brutal questioning he has faced from any corporate media about his son's business ties. Now, remember, this is something that had been known for a very long time. This is something that had gone on in the Obama administration, that had gone on with Barack Obama's blessings. Oh, we'll get there. Believe that. We'll get there. It's gone on, of course. Barack Obama oversaw it. Barack Obama approved of it. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody knew that the Bidens were corrupt. They laughed it off because, well, you're allowed. When you're rich enough and when you're powerful enough, they let you do it. So they just let Joe Biden do it. Now, everybody knew about this. Mike Allen, a guy who fancies himself as a straight up and down news reporter, decided to sit down across from Joe Biden and push him. Now, this is the best clip. We have a couple of clips. This is the best clip of Joe Biden really getting reporters like drill down to like turn the screw a little bit on him when it comes to his son's business dealings in Ukraine. Listen to Joe Biden's response here. Lie after lie after lie after lie after brazen, humiliating, dehumanizing, despicable lie straight to his face. Watch Joe Biden do this. Go.
To serve on the board of a Ukrainian energy company facing serious corruption charges, you were the vice president running point on Ukraine. The average Joe hears that and says, that sounds fishy. What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody...
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't pass the smell test. Like when you're vice president, isn't there a higher standard? Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong. So look, if you want to talk about problems, you know, let's talk about Trump's family. I mean, come on. This is...
So
These guys are amazing.
So you think that everything that happened was kosher?
You know there's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong.
One little tiny bit. It's not a lie if you believe it. Now, Joe Biden, in that interview, if you had a keen ear, said, hey, man, I just didn't know what was going on. Mike Allen's like, this looks wrong. The clip goes on, by the way. Go ahead over to our Twitter, and you can watch it yourself. The clip goes on for 127 seconds of that reporter actually turning the screw on Joe Biden and saying, this looks dirty, man. What's your response to it? Now, that was for a big show, Axios' HBO show. How about local news reporter? Man, this is the best one. This is one that I think is just the creme de la creme. The best clip of Biden denying this. And again, I'm going to show you something from the New York Times this morning that is going to blow your mind. But the best clip of Biden denying this happened at a local level, CBS Boston. We have our executive producer, the great ALX. Follow him on Twitter in Massachusetts, actually, ALX, holding down that state. This happened CBS local Boston. Put Joe Biden in a corner inside of some little pub somewhere and said, yo, you got real problems with your kids and all their dirty dealings. Listen to Biden's response here. This is the penultimum. This is why you watch, because we go into the archives and we get this stuff, the stuff that everyone else forgot about, or they tried to delete from the internet. They tried to delete this one. We got it for you. Watch.
Accusation against you stems from your son, Hunter Biden, working on the board of an energy company in Ukraine while you were vice president. Do you agree that that could at least create the appearance of a conflict?
Look, what I agree is with that there's not a single solitary thing anyone said that was done wrong. I don't discuss business with my son. I didn't know that was the case when in fact I found out after the fact. And because I don't discuss things with my son or my family, because I don't want to have any knowledge of I don't want to be accused of, well, you talk with your son or you talk with your whomever. And so the fact is, though, everybody's looked at that. He did nothing wrong. Zero.
I don't discuss business with my son. But more importantly, what did he say up front? He didn't know that Hunter was serving on the board. He said he had no idea. I didn't know about Ukraine. What is Ukraine? What's Ukraine? Stew crane? Flu crane? What even is it? I don't even know, Jack. Get me a corn pop. Gotta get him off the diving board. There's a tactic that's used here, and it's twofold. First tactic. Make sure that when you are speaking about this issue that you say you had no idea what was going on and you had no knowledge of it, okay? We're going to blow that lie out of the water. And we're going to blow the second lie out of the water. The second lie is, look at Donald Trump. Whoa! Why are you asking me questions, Jack? Look at Donald Trump. The perfect example of this. And it'd be a shame if this clip went viral. In fact, it did. This has got like 40,000 retweets. Got millions of views on my Twitter yesterday. It'd be a shame if this clip went viral of Joe Biden brazenly, knowingly, wantingly, blatantly, criminally looking straight down the barrel of the Fox News and CNN cameras and every other reporter in the world at the Iowa State Fair in 2019 when asked about this and lying. Shame if this went viral.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader, if that's what happened? That appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum. And he's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me. Everybody looked at this, and everybody's looked at it and said there's nothing there. Ask the right question.
Okay. Ask the right questions. Oh, do you believe in sweet Old Testament biblical justice? Do you believe that our leaders will be brought down by their own pride and hubris? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in justice? It's happening right now before us, and we should rejoice in that. You should feel light in heart and in step and in mood today, because justice for these people is being exposed. Being exposed as the fraudulent, evil, decrepit liars they are. Not being able to carry on the charade. The greatest charade ever executed on the American people is that Joe Biden is a good and decent man. That is now in tatters. That is in total ashes. Joe Biden has destroyed himself with his own lust for power, his own desire to be powerful. He was the only guy that they could have possibly ratcheted up, cranked up, and amped up enough with whatever they inject into him every morning to try and stand on a stage with Donald Trump in 2020. And through it all, they were able to use Joe Biden, his own hubris, and his own desire for power in order to cravenly grab more of it, and he's going to destroy himself in the process. It's going to be sweet, delicious Old Testament justice. Watch this from the New York Times. Read this article with me, ladies and gentlemen. Just the first line. Just the first line, shall we? This from the New York Times this morning. Biden spoke with Hunter's business associates repeatedly is the headline. Check this out, the highlighted part. It's long been known that the elder Biden at times interacted with his son's business partners. Joe Biden again and again and again and again and again denied this. They are going to destroy themselves in their own craven lust for power, their own demonic gobbling of power. Demonic gobbling is what we're going to call it on this program, ladies and gentlemen.